Welcome to Ukulele to Pros. I'm Terry Carter, and we're doing a new weekly chord mania, I'm calling it, for now at least. And we're going to be doing these live on YouTube. I've done tons and tons of videos for YouTube. I've done tons of live videos for Facebook. So I wanted to do some live videos for YouTube, all my fans out there. And the idea with this is that every week, or maybe anytime I feel like it, but right now the idea is every week, and Wednesday is going to be the goal. And I'll try to keep it at the same time so you can get used to that. I'm going to teach you a new chord on the ukulele. And then as we do more and more of these lessons, you'll have a nice reference of a bunch of different chords that you can reference back to if you don't know a chord or learn. And I want to keep it real simple. I don't want to throw too many at you. We're just going to do one chord today, and I'm going to dive into a little bit of the theory behind the chord and then a couple ways that you can even slide this chord around a little bit. So today's chord is probably the first chord that you learn on the ukulele, and that is a C chord. And I'll go ahead and break it down for those people that are total beginners. This may be the first time you actually ever seen a chord. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So don't worry about that. So this is the chord that's so popular because it just fits so nicely on the ukulele. It's a fairly easy chord to play. And so I know a lot of people will put songs in the key of C for a lot of, especially beginning ukulele players, just because it's an easier one to play. So why don't we jump right into it? So I'm going to throw a diagram up on it. And so this is your first chord. This is your open position C chord. And even if you're a total novice on the ukulele, this one is actually not that difficult to play. And by the way, for those that have been following me, notice I am playing my new Ko Aloha ukulele. So I'm excited about that. It sounds amazing. Back to the chord. So what I'm doing here is, first of all, I don't have to do anything on the fourth string. I don't have to do anything on the third string. I don't have to do anything on the second string. The only thing I have to do is with my third finger, I'm going to place it on the first string, third fret. Now, check this out. I want to see how this looks. I'm going to try a new shot and see if this is cool. So check out this new angle here. Bam. All right. So hopefully this will help you a little bit with some of these chords. And so the thing you want to pay attention to with the third finger here is that you want to make sure that you're playing on the fingertip and that all your knuckles here are rounded. And that's going to help you, one, play on the fingertip. Two, it's going to help you avoid hitting any other string. And what I mean by that is if you play with a flat finger, so flat knuckles, and you end up playing on the pad of your finger, what's going to happen is this finger may hit like the second string, and it's going to mute it out. And it's not going to sound so good. But by playing on the fingertip, rounded knuckles, and also notice where I'm playing right up next to the fret. Not back here, and I'm actually not on top of the fret either because notice you can't get a sound, but I'm actually right up next to the fret. And then for this, I'm just going to use my thumb and use a downstroke. Alright, so let me come back on the screen here. Like I said, this is probably the first chord most ukulele players learn, and the reason is because it's fairly simple. Now, a lot of us just take this chord and run with it. I think we're good with this. I'm going to get this off the screen for now. Okay, and that's fine. Just to know a chord, if you see a C in a song and you play this, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a couple of things you need to recognize. One, there's more than just one C chord. There's different shapes of the C chord. So even though this is the most common, we could also play something like this. We could also play something like this. But those aren't for today. All we're focusing on is this one chord. And I want to do two more things with this. I want to talk about the notes that are in this chord. So when you actually play a chord, what does that mean? Because not all instruments can play chords. Ukulele play chords, guitar, piano, harp. But a lot of instruments such as the flute, saxophone, trumpet, they are limited to just playing one note at a time, so they cannot play a chord. So what is the definition of a chord? And that is, it's usually two or more notes, but since violins can play two notes at a time, and I don't really consider those chords, I like to say three or more notes at a time. But two also works, especially if you're doing with power chords, because those are only two notes. So two or three notes at the same time, that's the key. Because the flute can play more than two or three notes, but it can't do it at the same time. But now on our ukulele, when we strum all four strings, we have a chord. So when we play this chord, there's more than just one note, right? There is a C note in there. And where is that C note? Well, we have two of them in this chord. We have the open third string is a C note, which maybe you know, maybe you don't. And also, this first string on the third fret is a C note. So let me bring this back up so you can see a little closer. Okay, so again, the third string is a C, and then the first string, third fret, where my finger is on, that's also a C note. So what makes up the other notes of this chord? And this is a triad, so it has only three different notes. And so if notice our open fourth string is G, and then our open second string is E. So the notes on the C chord, if I go from the fourth string down, are G, C, E, and C. And those make up a C chord. So what that means is that anywhere that you find those three notes, C, E, and G, in any order, doesn't matter what the order is, you have a C chord. So when I was playing this one earlier, let me show it some close up. This one, or if I was playing this one, those are also C's. Same notes, C, E, and G, but in a different order, and also notice in a different part of the neck. Okay, we're not going to worry about that today though. Just this one chord here. Get this down and make sure that each string rings out nice and clear. Now, the last thing I want to do with this, and this is going to kind of be next level stuff. You don't have to know this or understand this, but some of my clients out there know this chord. I just want to give them a little bit more information. So, what I want you to recognize with this chord is that essentially what's happening is because you have open fourth string, open third, open second, and then your finger here on the first string, third fret, this is actually a movable chord. Now, if you just slid it up one fret, meaning just your finger slid up, and let me show you a close-up of that. Notice it doesn't work. I mean, it sounds outside for sure, but notice I can't just simply move my third finger up and expect. Actually, it doesn't sound horrible right there, but I can't expect it to sound good because you now have to also move the open strings up. So essentially, when you're playing this C chord, it's almost like your first finger is back here behind the nut, even though it doesn't do anything. So that means when you slide up your finger, you actually have to also now move your bar up. And I notice I've switched to my pinky here instead of the third finger. So when I'm doing this shape, it's easier to do it with my pinky rather than my third finger because that's a big stretch there. So, and if I go back to C, so remember that's what we learned. And if I slide up my pinky 1 to the 4th fret first string, I now have to add my first finger to strings 4, 3, and 2. And that's a bar. And now I have the next chord. This is a C sharp chord. And then if I move it up again, I have a D chord. Don't worry if you don't understand the names of these. I'm just showing you the concept here. Then D sharp or E flat, E, F, and we can keep going. I'll go back down, E, E flat or D sharp, D, D flat or C sharp, and then back to our original chord, C. So now, what I want you to get out of this today is 1, get this C chord memorized. So just this basic one here, get that memorized. Once you have it memorized, recognize what notes are in that chord. And we talked about that, the C note, the E note, and the G note. And that's it. Just remember that. And then recognize that this shape can slide up and down. And in future lessons, we're going to talk more about that process. But just for now, recognize that you can do it. So that is it. That's what we're doing with our Chord Mania lessons here. And who knows, maybe next week I have a different name. But get those down. Next week we're going to do a different chord. And I'm going to start with these real essential chords, so the ones that everyone needs to know. And then we'll start branching out into more advanced chords, seventh chords, bar chords, power chords, different jazz chords and stuff like that. So that is going to do it for our lesson today. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for subscribing to the Uke Like the Pros YouTube channel. Also check out ukelikethepros.com for different courses, memberships. I have group courses also, and I also have one-on-one coaching. It's really life-changing. So check that out at ukelikethepros.com, and have a great day.